In 1994, at the International Conference on Population and Development, 179 governments set out a groundbreaking call to action for sexual and reproductive health, including that of adolescents, to be placed on the global agenda. 25 years have passed since then. For us, Aditi,
Ali,
Ruben,
Kalisito,
Scheherazade, and
Agle.
this anniversary is personal. We were all born in these years. We partnered up with international organizations, governments, academia, civil society, and funding organizations to publish a new Journal of Adolescent Health supplement on the progress made on ASRHR since the ICPD and the prospects for the next 25 years. Here are our key messages.
how has the world changed since we were born? There are more adolescents alive today than ever before. We are growing up in a different context than the generations before us. We live in smaller families and we are more likely to be in school, and we are more digitally connected. In most of our communities, poverty has decreased, although rates of youth unemployment and working poverty have not. Sadly, we are disproportionately affected by humanitarian crises and emergencies, and we are already facing the dramatic consequences of climate crisis.
how has our SRHR changed in the last 25 years? Encouragingly, there have been concrete improvements in some aspects. Many of us initiate sexual activity later than adolescents in the past. Girls are less likely to be married and to have children before age 18 and are more likely to use contraception and have access to maternal health care. We are less likely to have sex with a partner whom we're not married to or living with, and we are more likely to use condoms correctly and consistently. Girls are less likely to support and experience female genital mutilation. On the other hand, though, some aspects of our SRHR remain major issues. In many contexts, menstruation is still seen as a taboo topic. Although HIV incidence has slowly declined, deaths due to HIV have not. Levels of STIs and intimate partner violence are high and growing. For example, 120 million girls under age 20 have experienced sexual violence. Finally, we still lack good data on unsafe abortion and the morbidity and mortality resulting from it.
how have the political, research, programmatic, and social responses to adolescent sexual and reproductive health and rights evolved over the last 25 years? Some aspects of our SRHR are higher on health and development agendas than ever before, and they have received steadily growing financial investment. There is also increased data and evidence which has made it possible to develop adolescent-specific guidelines and standards. A small but growing number of countries around the world have used these guidelines and standards to create and implement enabling legal and policy environments for adolescent sexual and reproductive health and rights and strong government-led programs. Civil society and grassroots social movements, especially those led by young people, have been influential in pressing for action and accountability. Finally, there has been growing recognition that new opportunities such as advances in technology and the press for universal health coverage can be leveraged to improve our sexual and reproductive health and rights.
However, there are still many barriers to adolescent sexual and reproductive health and rights. These include legal barriers such as requirement for consent from our parental or spouse to access services, social barriers such as stigma and having sex before marriage and the pressure to prove our fertility after marriage, and the service delivery barriers such as the cost and poor quality and health worker bias. Underpinning these issues are entrenched to gender inequality. Additionally, many of us still have difficulties to acknowledge us as sexual being and view our sexuality as a problem or something to be controlled. This is especially true for those of us who are LGBTIQNIA and those of us who are with disabilities.
There are only 10 years left to achieve the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals agenda. To contribute to this and fulfill the unfinished agenda of the ICPD, what actions are needed? Looking forward, efforts to improve adolescent sexual and reproductive health and rights must build on the progress and lessons learned over the last 25 years to scale up what has worked.
At the same time, stakeholders must move beyond more of the same and business as usual to achieve the things that we know are important but have failed to turn into action. Where there is political and social support, it must be mobilized and success must be demonstrated. Meanwhile, where strong support does not exist, the case for action must be made through acceptable entry points. External and domestic funding must be used strategically and effectively to demonstrate that investment in adolescent sexual and reproductive health and rights is worthwhile, while new and leveraged resources must be advocated for to fill the gaps. Efforts to communicate and apply enabling laws and policies must be stepped up, and changes must be made where harmful restrictions, contradictions, and loopholes still exist.
Human and system capacity must be strengthened to implement and sustain a comprehensive package of SRHR interventions, tailored to respond to our specific attributes, needs, and barriers at scale. This package must be integrated within the health system and coordinated with other sectors, such as education. The quality, equity, and effectiveness of these interventions must be proactively tracked using real-time disaggregated data, and good governance must be promoted. Last, but certainly not least, adolescents and young people must have a place at the table in order to actively and meaningfully participate in the decision-making that affects our lives. We are not merely beneficiaries. We are equal partners with knowledge and expertise critical to ensuring the appropriateness, effectiveness, and sustainability of action on ASRHR.